Hey, what's up guys? This is Eric with Painting Business Pro. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to estimate exterior painting and come up with your prices for exterior. So before I kind of get into that though, I do just want to say that there is a lot more to estimating as far as details. You know, there's a lot more details that I'm not going to cover in this video. If you want all those details, you can get it in my course at the website listed below, which is paintingbusinesspro.com. And you can find all the specific estimating standards and all that kind of stuff in my course. So I'm not going to be getting into the super little details because it would take a little, take a lot of time, but we are going to cover exactly what it takes, and by the end of this video you should be able to go out and estimate an exterior just fine. So but we'll find out. So let's just start by reviewing a little bit. First things first, just what we talked about in how to bid a paint job is how you're going to come up with your price. This is basically your pricing formula. So you have the number of hours that we estimate for the job, so that could be 20 or 100. The number of hours times $20 an hour. That comes up with your labor cost. Then the gallons of paint you're going to need. The number of gallons of paint you're going to need times the price per gallon, which could be 21, 29, 35. It could be, you got to check with your local paint store. That comes up with our materials cost. When you add the labor cost plus the materials cost, you get your total cost. That's what it's going to cost you to get the job done. So typically, pretty typical markup is double. So if it costs you $1,500, you do the job for $3,000. So the way we do it is we divide by 0.4, which is effectively like multiplying it by 2.5. That's how we come up with our price. And then we give our customers a 10% discount, which brings that price down a little bit so that we charge slightly more than double our cost. So that's going to be our pricing equation. So what you need to be able to figure out is the number of hours, and you need to figure out the number of gallons. And if you can figure out those two things, you can figure out the rest of this. Okay, and so let's just cover that. So for hours, when you're coming up with the hours, for prep work, it's going to really differ depending on where you are in the country. So in Colorado, we always power wash the house. That's 2 hours for a house. We always scrape, sand and prime, peeling areas, chipping paint, those sorts of things. On a bad house in Colorado, that's maybe 10 hours. Maybe 12. We always bid some time for spot priming, and we bid time for caulking, which caulking, a bad house in Colorado is maybe 6 hours of caulking. But if you go out to like Massachusetts, you could spend 100 hours just prepping a house. So you are going to need to find out about prep work in your local area. There's a lot of ways to do that. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Feel free to comment below and ask questions. Okay. So prep work is going to differ in your area, so that's that. Now the body. So how do you come up with the hours for the body? So that's 200 square feet per hour. So that's assuming we're spraying the house. Okay, so we've got our whole house here, and we're spraying the paint on. We're going to estimate 200 square feet per hour. That includes the masking off of windows and brick and the roof, and it includes spray time. So 200 square feet per hour. Alright, trim, we mentioned this in the other video. Trim is going to be 40 feet per hour. So trim is going to be, everyone knows what trim is. It's this here along the peak that the gutters are on. There's usually corner boards, trim around windows, trim around doors, so on and so forth. That's a horrible house, by the way. Alright, so trim is 40 feet per hour. So all you need to do is you need to add up how many total square feet of body is there on the house, divide that number by 200, and you've got your hours for the body. Find out how many linear feet of trim is on the house, divide that by 40, and you've got the trim. Figure out how to estimate prep work by looking up online, talking to the local paint store, talking to subcontractors, guessing how long it's going to actually take you. You could go try and prep your own house for an hour and see how long it takes you to scrape, sand, and prime a particular area. There's a lot of ways to figure that out. So that's prep. Add up all the hours, multiply by 20, you got your labor cost. That's that. Number of gallons. So how you figure this out? For the body, it's the same as this number. So if you estimated 2,000 square feet and you divide that by 200, you would have estimated 10 hours for the body. So we would go with 10 gallons for the body as well. So it's roughly 200 square feet per gallon for the body. Now for the trim, depending on the home, it's at least 2 gallons up to maybe even up to 8 gallons depending on like the area in the country. If there's a house with just tons of trim, but I would say you're pretty standard and pretty safe with about 4 gallons. Accent colors, so that would be like for shutters or door, you usually should just only need 1 gallon of paint. So that's where you come up with 15 gallons, plug it in here, now you got your labor cost and your materials cost, add them together to get your total cost, divide by 0.4, and you come up with your price. So that's kind of how we're going to estimate exterior painting. A few other things I want to share with you about estimating exterior. I do have more specific standards than I just went through with you. So for prep work, I have about 5 different standards I use. For body, there's spraying or rolling. And then for trim, I actually break my trim down into fascia, other trim, window trim, door trim, garage trim, downspouts, that sort of thing. So there is a little bit more intricacy to it, but you really could estimate equally well with this right here. As I also mentioned in my interior bidding video, you do want to keep in consideration that you may need to adjust your prices. Okay, so this is how we were estimating. Last year we were dividing by 0.42, and we kept like coming in just a little too tight on our margins, so we raised our prices just a little this year. So you may have to adjust and you may have to tweak and tune. But I'll tell you this, if you use these standards and you're estimating for a 50% margin, you have to really screw up to lose money, okay? And if you actually screwed up and you bid a job that should be bid for $3,000, you bid for $1,300, ouch, first of all, but second of all, you'll never make that mistake again. So really the biggest thing you have to lose by estimating incorrectly is if you estimate too high, you're not going to get the job, and you'll lower your estimating. If you estimate too low, you'll probably get the job because you're the low guy, and you'll just make less money. If you estimate way low and you estimate $1,300 when you should estimate at $3,000, you lose $200. That's it. That's like such a small risk. So don't worry about estimating. If that's what's stopping you, jump in. I got it all in my course. Go get the course and get started, because estimating is not hard. There's also one other thing I'll mention. Type into Google, and I haven't used this myself, but someone who bought Painting Business Pro recently, they just started their painting business. They were worried about estimating. His name's Peter. He's already sold $35,000 in his first like month and a half. He's making more money than he ever was at his old job. He's killing it. And he recommended, so shout out to Peter, you're the man. He recommended PEP estimating. If you type that into Google, so I'm not going to write it out, but PEP estimating, it's a estimating system software that you can use that'll help you do your estimating. So I've heard good things about that too. So that might be another available shortcut. So in the fourth video that I have about estimating is actually going to cover why you really don't need to worry about estimating. We've covered a little bit of it here, but we're going to dive in just a little bit more to ease anyone's concerns about estimating, because it's really not too bad. So that's about all I've got for exterior estimating. If you've got any questions about it, leave a comment below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe with the red button below, or you can subscribe right here, and you'll get updates every time I release new videos. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, comment below so I can make you better videos. And that's all I've got. I'm out. I'll see you soon.